The following is a Stars and Strikes doubles rebroadcast featuring some of our most memorable programs. The 1991-92 season brought a new show to the Winds, Stars and Strikes doubles. And now, to cap off our first year, our first Tri-State Megabucks doubles Tournament of Champions. Back in October, the first team to qualify set a high standard. Gary Carrington and Jack Ray put together a huge third game, finishing with 7 straight marks and a 177. Their 448 triple would be tough to beat. November brought the team of Mike Morrill and Jack Quinn, who rolled up a 412 and moved into the tournament. At Christmas time, Mike Morgan and Paul St. Pierre made their presence felt, scoring a 373 to lock up a spot in the TFC. In February, Phil Clough and Tom O'Brien won 3 straight to become the only non-number 1 seeded team to qualify. March, Norm Bork and Ed Emerson overcame a 28-pin deficit with a big 162 middle game on the way to a 387 triple and the win. And just last week, Joe Ashline and Steve Vadnais rolled up a 412 in becoming the last team to qualify, sneaking into a second-place tie on the strength of Ashline's dramatic triple strike in the 10th.
Looks good. Looks
chance.
good. It's good. Go! It's
Woo! Coming up, week 1 of our first Tri-State Megabucks doubles Tournament of Champions.
Stars and Strikes doubles. From Park Place Lanes at Windham, featuring outstanding Candlepin bowlers from all over New England. Stars and Strikes doubles is produced in conjunction with the New Hampshire Candlepin Bowling Association. And now your hosts, Doug Brown and Dan Murphy.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Park Place Lanes here in Windham, New Hampshire, and Stars and Strikes doubles as we continue our 2 hours of Candlepin bowling here on the Winds. I'm Doug Brown along with Dan Murphy, and we hope you enjoyed week 1 of the Singles Tournament of Champions. Now it's time to begin the Doubles Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions. Dan, same rules, same prize money, except we've got 2 teams here set to go, 6 teams in all, of course, trying to win the first Doubles Tournament of Champions here on Stars and Strikes.
Absolutely right, and the same excitement, I'm sure. We had both of these teams bowl exceptionally well to get where they are today, and I expect the same of them today.
All right, we got, is there a different, we've talked about this before, but different mindset when you're approaching this type of situation? You have a lot of rest between frames when you go up there. Would you prepare yourself or think about this any differently coming into it?
Absolutely. I think you got to get off to a quick start. And you got to have a lot of confidence in your partner. If that partner can put a couple marks up for you, and we have a little bit of strategy here in the third game. Whoever's hot can start that third and final game so they get the extra 2 boxes in.
All right, we'll introduce the bowlers now so you get an idea of who will be in this Tournament of Champions. Of course, we'll show you the whole ladder in a couple of minutes. But first of all, let's introduce our number 6 seeded team. From Lynn, Massachusetts, Mike Morgan, and his partner from Manchester, New Hampshire, Paul St. Pierre.
Okay, Mike Morgan comes in averaging 126, and his high single is 188. Paul St. Pierre coming in at an average of 125 and his high single at 197.
And their 3-string qualifying score to get to the Tournament of Champions was 373. We'll explain that more a little bit later on for those of you who may not be familiar with the format. They will be taking on our number 5 seeded team from Warren, Massachusetts, Phil Clough, and from Natick, Mass, Tom O'Brien.
Okay, and Phil comes in averaging 115, high single of 206. And his partner, Tom O'Brien, comes in averaging 128, and he also has a phenomenal high single of 200.
All right, 3 strings of Candlepin bowling, doubles format, of course, here on Stars and Strikes doubles. Our first ever doubles Tournament of Champions, and we're going to get it started with the first of 3 strings right after these messages. Don't go away. All right, welcome back to Stars and Strikes doubles and our first ever Tournament of Champions, and here is the field. Of course, today, as we mentioned, Mike Morgan and Paul St. Pierre facing Phil Clough and Tom O'Brien. One of these teams trying to pull off a very tall order and perhaps win 5 consecutive shows and win this whole thing. Of course, the winners of this one will face Norm Bork and Ed Emerson next week. Mike Morrill and Jack Quinn are tied with Joe Ashline and Steve Vadnais at that 412. So actually, we don't really know who's that who's going to be in that number 2 spot yet. That tie is yet to be settled, but we do know that Gary Carrington and Jack Ray are definitely in that number 1 spot, and they will be here 4 weeks from today to try and maintain that number 1 spot as they participate in the championship match. But right now, Mike Morgan is set to get going here on the first ever Stars and Strikes Doubles Tournament of Champions. We're glad you're with us.
Just carry your thought a little further, Doug. It's tough to get here, and Tom O'Brien and Phil Clough are the only team.
Mike Morgan begins with the strike on lane 32 here at Park Place.
As I was saying, Tom Morgan and, yeah, it's Mike Morgan, and talking about Tom O'Brien and Phil Clough are the only team that wasn't a number 1 seeded team to qualify for the Tournament of Champions. So for one of these teams to win 4 matches, it's a tall order. 5 matches, actually.
Yeah, 4 matches on the regular
right.
series is certainly difficult. 5 it would be here for a team to come up from the bottom of the ladder.
One consolation is that not bowling quite as many games as they would in a singles, but still the pressure is still there.
That's 29 through 2 for Mike Morgan, who was a 9 on the strike and then the 10 in the box, so 29 through 2. And now Tom O'Brien, the big left-hander.
And Dan proves again that he can't do 2 things at once, talk and keep score. 1-3-6 for Tom, missing the head pin.
You mentioned Tom O'Brien and Phil Clough, the only team not a number 1 seed to qualify for the Tournament of Champions. They were actually a number 3 seed. And they got into the tournament with 3 consecutive wins back in January. They beat Bob Buxton and Brian McKinley. Then they beat, and there's a strike for Tom in box 2. Then they beat Mike O'Brien, no relation, and Ron Root. And then in the championship match, they beat Dan Broder and Peter Pereira in an outstanding match. 2-pin victory for Phil and Tom. And that put them into the Tournament of Champions.
First look today, anyways, at Paul St. Pierre. Leaves himself to 3-6 on the right with the 4-pin. Piece of wood in between.
Mike Morgan and Paul St. Pierre qualified for the Doubles Tournament of Champions back in December when they beat Bob Mazur and Steve Tierney.
37, as you see, through 3 for a team of Morgan and St. Pierre.
And a better ball that time. First ball for Paul.
Two in the 5.
Yes, for the spare. Second mark for the team.
Now, first look at Phil Clough, and he gets up, and he'll be working on a strike posted by his partner, Tom O'Brien.
Just missing the head pin, but it didn't turn out too badly, although he does have a split, the 8-10 with wood, though.
He's going to go right at the 8-pin, use those 2 pieces of wood, and not the 10-pin.
Phil waiting for that piece of wood to settle before he shoots the 10-pin. And he nails it. A 2-pin lead for the team of Clough and O'Brien, but of course, as you see, the spare up in the 4th for Morgan and St. Pierre.
Good looking ball.
Well, right in the pocket that time.
Boy. Finally, the wood rests against the 5-pin, but those other 9 pins going down never touch the 5-pin.
For the spare, indeed.
So, 2 marks for each team, both a strike and a spare.
And back to Mike Morgan. Mike, of course, will be joining us in the Singles Tournament of Champions next week. next Sunday at 12 noon here on the Winds. It'll be week 2 of both tournaments. Mike gets a 9 drop on the spare left by his partner. A chance for another.
Just enough to back up and clip that 5-pin. Looked like he was going to be left with a 5-7. Got a clear shot at the 7-pin.
Yes. If you tuned in late today, Glenn LeBlanc won the first match of the singles tournament of champions, beating Stu Bergman 4-12 to 359. So next Sunday at 12 noon, it'll be Mike Morgan against Glenn LeBlanc in the singles tournament of champions. And then, of course, right after that at 1 o'clock next Sunday, the winners of this match will move on to face Norm Bork and Ed Emerson. And there is a strike on the spare for Mike Morgan.
He's got it going right now in the 1-3 pocket. The 5 and the 8 finally go down, and that's 3 marks in a row for the team of Morgan and St. Pierre.
On a spare, Tom O'Brien touches them all. Wow.
Tom not letting them run too far. He picks on the 1-2 pocket. The result is a strike, and he'll try to make it 3 marks in a row. You see the scoreboard. Very close match. Off target, but hang on.
There's more coming.
Well, remove the 3-pin. He's got the 1 and the 6 left. Piece of wood behind the head pin should help. Concentrate on the head pin.
Yes.
And he makes it 3 in a row.
Wow. These two teams matching each other mark for mark right now. And there's only a 3-pin difference in the match. This is on a strike for Paul St. Pierre.
Very makeable spare, the 1, 3, 6, and 7, but behind the 1, 3, 6 is a nice piece of wood angled toward the 7-pin.
Yes.
4 in a row and 5 marks in the first game by Morgan and St. Pierre. Plays on the inside. Ball goes down and clips the wood for the 7-pin. Head pin takes the other 2, and look at this.
115 in the 7th.
Now the 6-pin.
This is doubles, remember.
Ooh.
Watch out. Oh, didn't turn over for him.
Didn't get the good lift because his ball usually breaks a little bit from right to left. That one straightened right out for him.
Now stepping up on a spare left by his partner, Phil Clough.
Mike Morgan gives his partner words of encouragement, says we're not going to make all of them.
That's 7, Phil. Makes things dead even through 6. But Phil will have to pick up this mark to keep pace. And he does.
Was there a doubt?
4 in a row for each team.
It's like the script was written before the match started. Every time one team gets a mark, the other one follows with their own. This time off target a little bit, and no.
Well, it could have been worse. Not many times you could say that with a 3 drop, but it could have been 1. Can he convert this? No.
You'll have to clean these up and lose a little more in count. It's opposite 10 frame. 6-pin advantage now. 3 boxes completed, and they'll gain a few more.
Well, the lead is 10 for Morgan and St. Pierre, as Mike Morgan comes up to finish the first game for his team. A reminder, one of our presenting sponsors here on the Tri-State Megabucks Doubles Tournament of Champions, the folks at Somerville Lumber, where you can get it right the first time. Somerville Lumber. Of course, Tri-State Megabucks, the presenting sponsor of all of this here on Stars and Strikes.
Oh, he is just burying the ball in the pocket. And in his pocket, too, the 1-3, that ball's breaking or almost a little cross lane from right to left, so it's cutting through the pins. Gets a lot of pin action in that 1-3 pocket. Oops, got to hurry. He got a little smile out of that one. The wood helped him. Deflected the ball a little bit farther to the left and was able to clear the 4-pin. 135 plus the bonus ball in the 9th.
It's going to be an outstanding game for the team, and look at
1-2 pocket that time.
Wow.
But he was nice and tight. That ball backed up a little bit from left to right. Kind of turned it like almost like a screwball in baseball, tripping the 6-pin for the strike, and what an opening game.
$155. 2 balls to come.
Oh, a little full.
Well, one time you get a strike, the next time you chop out the 1 and the 9.
Quarter of an inch to the right that time, and he was full. That's the result. Pretty good out, though. Very good.
Very good, yes. A 9 on the strike for a 164. This is doubles, remember. 164.
7 marks out of 10 boxes the first game.
We've talked about it earlier, but it bears repeating. The scores in general tend to be a little bit lower in doubles, but from time to time that has been proven wrong here on Stars and Strikes doubles.
And most of the times when we mention it,
yes,
it turns around and it's...
Tom O'Brien needs a mark here in the 9th. He would love to put up 2 marks in these last 2 boxes.
And I think the primary reason is what we talked about in the opening of the show, having to wait as many frames as they do before they get back up there. So unless you have both partners on top of their game, if you got one of the 2 people carrying the team, have to wait 4 boxes before they get up, so they kind of lose their rhythm too. 125 through 9 plus the bonus.
Big ball right here. Well, he was full, but he got away with it. 7 drop. For the spare? Yes, indeed.
So he's coming right back.
That's 7 marks for each team now in this first game. Clearing out the 3, 6, and 10. The fill ball, pretty good pocket hit, but this time only 6. But a 148. How about those for opening games here on our Tournament of Champions? 164 for Morgan and St. Pierre, 148 for Clough and O'Brien. 2 games to go. We'll be back in a minute. Here in the middle of our first ever Tournament of Champions, and that first string was something to remember as Mike Morgan and Paul St. Pierre rolled up a 164, and they lead in the match by 16 pins as Phil Clough gets the second game started with a 9 drop.
Speaking of 9 drops in the first ball, Sean Grande is our scorekeeper here for the audience and the bowlers, and he's also our statistician.
Watch out, no, that is not a mark for
Just
Phil Clough. He caught the pin in the channel.
You saw the pin move, so the ball was actually off the lane. And an interesting stat that he gives us, and this is the highest this has ever been, and it's simply amazing because it's doubles too. The first ball pinfall, the average first ball drop of pins was 8.6 for Morgan and St. Pierre. That means they almost dropped 9 pins every first ball, and not far behind, Clough and O'Brien were 7.8. That's an amazing stat, and
a nice spare for Phil Clough.
Absolutely, 5-7 or 5-10.
Take it back, a 10. Still a nice shot, but it's a 10.
Ooh, just the 2-pin.
Watch out, wow. Thought for a moment he might do the same thing on the other side. Well, Paul works out of it with a 9. That really is something. 8.6 average on the first ball. It's certainly easy to see where they had a 164.
Absolutely. You figure they're not knocking down almost 9 pins, and chances are some of them stuck around on the plate to make that other single pin or 2 pins very makeable. Ooh, just sliding by the head pin.
$10 for Paul, and everything remains status quo after the first 2 boxes. Brings up Tom O'Brien.
This is the head pin to the left, 4 horsemen, 1, 3, 6, 10, and the 7 pin.
Tom is the president and CEO of Venture Enterprises. Entertainment wholesaler, wholesale merchandise. Does a lot of his bowling at the Sudbury Bowl in Sudbury and at Fairway Sports World in Natick. And Tom actually has been with us quite a bit this season on both programs. And gets a break here on the 7 pin.
Oh, almost gets the 5. Pretty good looking first ball. I mean, it looked like he was just going to be left with a 5-7, and something came by and behind the 5 pin and knocked the 7 pin down.
Actually, Tom's first appearance with us ever was back in November. There's the spare. He just got it.
No, it's a real little extra body English that got that one. And some people think, well, this would be an interesting game without the deadwood. I don't think so. Especially in that case. Oh, Mike Morgan. Right back in the 1-3 pocket.
Mike Morgan has rolled 7 boxes now, Dan. He's got 6 marks. And 4 of the 6 marks are strikes.
It's a scary thought. And more strikes than spares. Just missing that time. Well, the 1, 2, and 10.
No. And a 10. We will take a break here on Stars and Strikes Doubles. And you see the score as Mike Morgan and Paul St. Pierre increase their lead, but there's a mark up there in the 4th for Clough and O'Brien. We'll be back in just a minute.
Well, Phil Clough will fill the spare put up by Tom O'Brien in the 4th, trailing by 24.
Off target to the left, but he'll take 7 and have a spare leave, although this wood may be tricky.
It's turned a little bit for him, flattened out pretty good. He could have trouble with that 8 pin.
Oh, just carries it. It wanted to stay.
That's the 8 pin, the stubborn one. The wood to kind of deflects the ball up and over, and second piece just catches the 8 pin.
Looking for a break somewhere on this fill. It'll be a 7 though, and a split. The 4, 7, 10. That wood coming out could help the shot. Get it spinning, and who knows what may happen. Let's see. Right on the red line, didn't get the desired effect.
The red line, they'll drive the pin straight back. You have to go off the red line, right or left, and get the ball, or get the pin spinning. Anyway, you'll get it for a 10. 73 through 6. Well, I'll have a second. Always remember, or don't forget, I should say, the New England Sports Museum, the Candlepin exhibit at the New England Sports Museum, Cambridge Side Galleria Mall, coming sometime in October. There'll be a lot of fundraisers throughout the summer, and I'll give you some more details on some of those and how you can participate in the fundraisers if you care to do so. And we will be asking all you Candlepin bowling fans to help us raise some substantial money to put Candlepin bowling right next to the biggies, the baseball and basketball, and it's just going to be an amazing thing. Nice spare. So I'll keep you informed. In fact, I'll tell you so many times you'll probably get tired of hearing about the New England Sports Museum. A 1, 3, and 7.
You could never get tired seeing the exhibits, though. It really is something.
It really is.
Right now, they just have a preliminary exhibit area up and running, but even what they've got there now is pretty amazing, and it's only a small portion of what will be there ultimately. And another spare for Paul St. Pierre, 2 in a row.
And just the 2 statues there of Larry Bird and Bobby Orr that people, if they haven't seen, they haven't lived in New England. And they're there, and it's just
Carl Yastrzemski's also.
Amazing. That's right.
Yep. The 5-pin is not going to go down for Tom.
No, he's got a piece of wood behind it now. If he can avoid the one on the right, well, you may want to take the one on the right, but if you avoid the one on the right and hit the wood in the back, ooh, and you'll miss it. I would try the same thing, Tom. I guess it wasn't quite frozen against the 5-pin.
So instead, it's a $9. And again, another split. This time, the 2 and the 10. That time it was frozen, but he couldn't carry the 10-pin. So 2 open frames there for Clough and O'Brien. That may prove to be costly the way Mike Morgan is going.
Now the lead is 19, but it's going to increase by this ball by Mike Morgan.
Mike is from Lynn. Does a lot of his bowling at the post office lanes right there in Lynn and works at General Electric. He has had many successful times here on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. He loves this house. Park Place Lanes.
7-10. Stay there, he says.
Mike's not taking an oath. He's just trying to position the wood.
He's going to slap the wood, see if he can get something coming off the wall. Oh, yes!
Great shot.
He's pretty sharp right now. Put the ball exactly where he wanted to. Split the 2 pieces of wood. One took the 7 and the other took the 10. 3 marks in a row now for Morgan and St. Pierre. Little full that time. 6 drop. 2-4, 6-10 left. The way he's bowling, he wouldn't be a bit surprised if he makes this. Nope. Probably would have if I didn't mention it. And a 7. But still a pretty decent game. 107 right now through 8.
And they've increased the lead, as you see, to 31 in the match. Phil Clough trying to get something started. He's got a spare leave here.
Would turn for him. 3, 6, 10 and the 9-pin in the back. 9 could be the problem. He's low and enough to carry the 10.
Phil does not throw the ball very hard, and a situation like that, you almost need a little more power to drive everything back. Sometimes a slower ball can work in your favor. On a shot like that, a faster ball would work in your favor.
Right. Well, he's right in the pocket. Let's see.
Go.
Oh, everything but the 4.
Phil Clough is a designer for Warren Pumps. Does a lot of his bowling at the State Bowl, which I believe is in Springfield, Mass.
Springfield, Mass, yes.
Phil travels a long way to get here. He's from Warren, Mass. Now Paul St. Pierre pulling his first ball to the left.
1, 3, 6 left for Paul.
And a $9. Well, whatever Paul puts up in this 10th frame will add to their lead from game 1. Of course, they had a 16-pin lead coming in.
1, 2, 4, 7. drop that one behind the foul line or right on the foul line. Cause it to skip to the right.
Well, the score is a little bit lower in this second game, but still 8 more pins added to the lead for Mike Morgan and Paul St. Pierre. You see the damage, 288 to 264, a 24-pin lead for our number 6 seeded team. We'll be back with game 3 and settle this thing right after these words. Mike Morgan, third game.
Try to protect the 24-pin advantage. Strings of 164 and 124 for 288. And Clough and O'Brien 148 and 116 for 264.
Regardless of what happens here in this match, Mike Morgan will get a shot to try his luck in the singles tournament of champions beginning next week. He's the number 4 seed, and he'll be facing Glenn LeBlanc, who won the first week of the tournament today, beating Stu Bergman 412 to 359. So Mike is the only man that qualified for both events.
I'll tell you, if he bowls like he's bowling today next week, you're in for a treat.
10 for Mike to begin the string. Now on lane 31, right in the pocket, the 1-2 pocket, and somehow the 5-pin is still there.
Oh, funny, on lane 31 he seems to hit the 1-2 pocket more often. Lane 32, it's the 1-3.
Right there for a spare. That's mark number 12 for the team of Morgan and St. Pierre. Tom O'Brien is right in the pocket, and he's got a 9-pin drop on the 6-pin. Sixth place prize money as Tom puts his spare up on the board in the first. Sixth place prize money is $100. That'll go to the runner-up team here today. The winners, of course, come back next week at 1 o'clock to face Norm Bork and Ed Emerson.
Oh, look at this. Boy.
Tom has thrown some good first balls but had splits, but now at least that wood turned for him.
Now here's a situation where you want to go by the 5-pin on the left and clip the wood. If you hit the 5-pin, the wood's not going to carry the 10.
Ooh.
You see, he caught a little bit of the 5. He had missed the 5, the wood would have swung and had a better chance at making it. Good effort.
And a 9. Very close. Let's take another look.
Just catches the 5. So the wood didn't help him at all and threw the 5-pin against the wall in front of the 10.
That was a fill on a spare for Paul St. Pierre. He pulled it way to the left for just 2.
So all of a sudden, they've cut the lead by 5 pins. That being Clough and O'Brien.
The lead right now at 19. Still a long way to go, so plenty of time for Clough and O'Brien if they should start putting some marks together. Paul St. Pierre having trouble finding the head pin right now.
Well, if he finds it this time, he's got a good chance of making a spare. So he's got some helpful wood in the back. No, he's going to pull it to the left. So 2 open frames for Phil Clough to work on. 2 marks, and it'll be virtually even. 40 through 4.
So Phil steps up there.
Wants that 10 pin to go down, or maybe the 4-7, but neither of them are going to go down. 4-7-10. Going to go probably right at the 7 pin and twist that wood. Got to hurry. No, need a little more.
And $9.
So actually lost one in count. I think you want to go a little farther left. Even so, a couple inches missing that 10 pin.
On the head pin, but it'll be a split.
And that being the 3-6 and the 4 pin, piece of wood in between. I think you still have to go at the 3 pin. Give yourself a chance. Oh, well, hang
back,
on.
maybe? No.
I can gain 2 and count, but the big opportunity has gone by. Had 2 open frames to work on, couldn't put a mark up.
But that 10 bucks will cut the lead to 18. So that's where we stand with 6 frames to go here in week 1. The Stars and Strikes doubles, Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions. We'll be back in a minute. Mike Morgan.
We failed to mention it, but the bowlers elected to have Mike Morgan start, and of course Phil and Tom elected to have Tom start.
Third game, it's up to each team, and Mike Morgan puts a big strike in the 5th.
At this point, he could start for my team too. Picks on the 1-2 pocket, tripping the 7 pin finally. There he goes. Big strike. He'll fill it himself.
Mike has thrown 5 strikes in this match. And there's an 8 drop. He's got a chance for the spare.
This piece of wood came up behind it.
He's got it.
Those are 2 big marks. Big marks. Tom O'Brien can just hope that he can do as well just to maintain the lead for Morgan and St. Pierre at 18. Well, if he's going to, it's going to have to be a remarkable shot. 4-7, 6-10, piece of wood in front of the 4-7, and also one just to the right. Oh, what a shot!
What a remarkable shot.
You avoided the front
You
one.
asked for it. And
You
Tom
avoided
is
the front one. Watch, off the wall. Needed some help on the 6 pin, but a great, great shot by Tom O'Brien.
So Tom, he was pumped up about that shot too, yapping a little
And
bit
he
afterwards,
does
and he is
maintain.
really pumped up right now. Matches those 2 marks.
That's what he had to do. He didn't want to give them a mark advantage and push that lead up to 20-some, mid-20 pins. Paul St. Pierre comes back 6 on a spare. Now they do have an advantage because they have a strike posted. Always a chance of throwing the double. Got to hurry with that one. Doesn't get there. So there'll be an open frame. This is a long ways from over.
8 bucks for Paul. Paul does a lot of his bowling at the King Lanes in Manchester. That's where he's from. Paul works as a tool and die maker at New Hampshire Stamping. And he's had some trouble with the head pin today.
4 horsemen, 1, 2, 4, 7, and the 8 pin in the back. Some wood that should help. He's got to have the head pin.
Got it for the spare. It's a big spare right there in the 8th.
Certainly was. He set his partner up, Mike O'Brien, Mike Morgan, for his final 2. This is a big ball for Phil Clough, working on a strike. Oh, he's pulled it to the left. Anything over a 6 fill, he'll cut into the lead. He would really like another mark.
Got a chance. Ooh, just missed the head pin. It'll be an 8 fill, so they'll pick up 2 pins in that box. And may pick up 2 more. No, it'll be 1 more. So that cuts the lead to 15. But the mark in the 8th, and that shows how critical it is.
Yeah, you have to put one up for Tom. Oh, he's right in the pocket. Oh, wow.
Oh,
Well.
and that's not the pin he wanted to go.
Well, if it swings around, well, he goes after the 7 pin, clips that wood. Well, that one's rolling away. Have to go to the right now. And those two pieces are way out in front of the 9-pin. He's going to need some sidewall action to help him carry the 9.
Not there. And it's a 9 box.
Well, their hope now is to have Mike Morgan throw a bad ball. He hasn't thrown all day, I don't think, but they need a break on this spare. If he fills this one up and puts another mark up, it's going to be real difficult for Tom O'Brien. Oh, that was a lob.
A lob.
Yeah,
So that will
break.
take away a 9 drop, so it'll be a 0 on the spare. Boy, there is a costly ball. Well,
Now, they were looking for a break. I don't think they ever expected something like that. It was clearly a lob.
Joe Paglia working the lob line for us here during Stars and Strikes doubles, and Mike just trying to work out of it. Most importantly, just trying to keep his concentration after making that mistake, and he gets a 10.
Well, at 16 pins, 2 marks by Tom O'Brien will do it. So, very critical 10th frame. If he could put a mark here and a decent fill, then he could push Tom O'Brien into the double strike situation.
Ooh, and right through the middle, and that's the first time he's punched out today, I think.
Well, you want to work it out. If he can't make the mark, he doesn't want to have bad frame. All these are critical.
Well, Tom O'Brien's going to have a shot at this. Coming up for his final 2 as Mike puts up a 7 and a 3-string total 399.
So 136 is a win, 135 is a tie, and they're at a 122 clip right now. He needs 2 marks. Well,
wow.
It's going to have to be another remarkable shot. This time he's not going to have the help of any wood.
And Tom knows the situation that he's
Well,
in, and
may have a piece. I don't know how helpful it's going to be, though. He has the 7-pin and the 6-10 on the right. He wants the wood to come back a little further now. It doesn't appear to me to be any help. I would probably go at the 2. No, he's going to try to play it, but now he's in the double strike situation. He'll have to throw 2 strikes.
111. Remember, he needs 135 to tie, so a double strike and then 4. But he's got to throw the first one first.
Well, he had one last time in this lane, last box. No, not this time. Well, hang on. We've seen some things happen here at Park Place Lanes.
Well,
there's a time limit here too.
Tom's waiting and motioning, but it's not going to happen. So Mike Morgan and Paul St. Pierre hang on here in the final boxes. That'll be a spare for Tom, making the final score that much closer.
Uses the wood effectively to carry those 3 pins. Gives him 121 in the ball.
385 plus this ball. And it's, let's see, it's a 7 fill for a 128 and a 392. So it turns out to be a 7-pin victory for Morgan and St. Pierre after it looked as though it might be a breeze coming down the stretch. So Mike Morgan and Paul St. Pierre advance, and we will talk to all the bowlers and tell you about next week. And we continue. Don't go away. And welcome back to Stars and Strikes doubles. On their way up here to chat are Tom O'Brien and Phil Clough, who came just a few pins short there at the end. That was quite a finish. Come on in, guys, and Phil, turn toward the camera so everybody can see you. We have 6 place checks for you, $150 for you to split. And boy, it looked like it might get out of hand there in the 3rd game, and then you guys hung right with it, and you had a chance there at the end. You just had that tough split.
Oh, well, you know, Mikey's been bowling well, and those 3-pound bowling balls of his, they surely do a number on the pins. But, Yeah, I just couldn't carry the extra pin, and we didn't get too many breaks today, and they bowled well as a team.
It really did seem like both of you guys had trouble. It seems you were throwing a good ball, but yet the drops just weren't there for you.
Yeah, we got a lot of 7-pin drops with 2 over here and one on the other side. Those don't usually go.
Yeah, coming into that 9th and 10th box when Mikey threw the 0 on the mark, I said, "Oh, this is what I'm here for." I said, "This is what I wanted." I said either a 2 or a little less, and he gave me an opportunity. And I felt I was bowling good in the pocket all day today. I just couldn't get that extra pin. That was the key all day, and I needed a double. I said anytime I wanted a double was now. But,
well, congratulations.
Got me twice. So.
Well, congratulations for getting here, guys. We appreciate your stopping by. We hope to see you again next year. All right? Thanks very much, Tom. We appreciate it. Thanks, Phil. All right, Mike and Paul, come on up. High fives all around here, and Mike Morgan and Paul St. Pierre will advance to next week. You had it all the way, right?
No, nothing like that. You throw the ball that good, and then the lob. Oh, what a time for the lob. I said, oh, God, just get me through this one after that. Boy, that's embarrassing, too. Tell you.
Well, especially, I mean, the thing is, too, you've been throwing the ball so well all day.
Yeah, that one there I just held on to it, tried to be careful rather than free will like I was, So once you start thinking in this game, you're all done. It's not a thinking man sport. Just throw the ball.
So now it's come back next week and try and do it all again, right, Paul?
And hopefully his partner will show up next week.
Hey, see, he threw the key mark, but I threw a 0 on it like it wasn't even there.
Well, next week you get a shot at Ed Emerson and Norm Bork. We'll be looking forward to it. Thanks, guys, for stopping by, and congratulations on the $3.99. And let's take a look at that ladder now and see what's coming up for next week. Again, next Sunday, beginning at noon in Week 2 on the Tournament of Champions in the singles event. Mike Morgan will be here in that also, as he'll be taking on Glenn LeBlanc. So you'll get plenty of Mike Morgan next week here on Stars and Strikes. And then on his Stars and Strikes doubles, Mike and his partner Paul St. Pierre will go against, as you see, Norm Bork and Ed Emerson, trying to make it 2 wins in a row. This was kind of a funny match. Both teams got off to that great start, and then the scores kind of declined after that, and it declined into a battle there right at the end.
I think Mike was the outstanding bowler today out of the 4, and yeah, it looked like they were in command until you looked at the score, and it was only a matter of a couple marks, and then the crucial lob, the guy was bowling best all day long. You never know in this game.
Well, we're going to be back here next Sunday for 2 full hours here on the Winds. We hope that you will join us too. Week 2 of the Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions at noon, of course, in singles, and at 1 here on Stars and Strikes doubles. Until then, for Dan Murphy and the whole crew, Doug Brown, so long from Park Place Lanes.